Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be taking a look at a piece by the historic Dutch painter known as Vincent van Gogh. This episode, we're going to be talking about the portraiture format. We're going to talk about the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Antwerp, Belgium. We're also going to talk about the profound kind of early hallmarks of a pioneer. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, you're met with a skeleton here set in center space. Certainly commands a majority of the spatial composition, and the eye is caught through this really brilliant kind of light on dark contrast. This, of course, accents form against this midnight black backing, certainly catches the eye in an unforgettable first impression. And so we see our subject center. Of course, it commands just so much of the space here. It really is just impossible to miss. And so we see kind of a portraiture format here. This is very classic. Of course, you see the bust from the shoulders, and then, of course, the head. Very classic format, especially at the time, 1886, when this piece was created. And so with this in mind, this creates a very intimate visual experience. We're right face to face with our subject here. And so, there's always something unsettling about bones. Of course, they are an archaic symbol of death. And so this work in mind, we certainly see these tones. And this piece might even be kind of a conscious satire because Van Gogh at the time, he was, facing a lot of sickness, facing a lot of malnourishment, excessive smoking, you name it. Certainly one of many dark times during his life. But we certainly see that kind of dark aesthetic here, and then a bit of satire as well, whether it's that excessive smoking, and then say a skeleton smoking, we certainly see as a kind of conscious bid to the dangers of smoking. And so this piece was made while Vincent was actually in Antwerp studying at the Royal Academy of Fine Arts. And it's kind of an interesting story because he's seen as kind of going against many of he would be given a study and he would paint it in his own style. They would kind of clash with a lot of the professors. So but despite this, we see, this really interesting example because they would always, draw skeletons within the Royal Academy of Arts. And this is pretty normal. Of course, we have that kind of anatomy study, very, very common to any type of art academy. But with this in mind, they weren't required to paint that. So Van Gogh really went on his own free time and painted this. So that really shows, he used his hours of leisure to continue working on his artistic skill. So just really a hallmark of a true pioneer for sure. And so we see that dedicated drive, being able to study during hours of leisure, risking courageously to go against your professors to create the new artistic avant-garde. There's so many different examples there. I think that's incredibly important to note. And so we see, the use of shadows here is very important. Of course, as a master of color, we're going to take a look at some of his works here in a second, but we certainly see how shadows certainly define this work because, of course, you have that much lighter area, much darker, and then that midnight black backing. But these shadows also create a sense of texture as well. And Van Gogh, of course, displays an incredible mastery of anatomy here. So we certainly see that for sure. And so this is one of his earlier works, so we are going to compare that here in a second. And this is in 1886 during a darker time of his life. And 1885 was the Potato Eaters, if you guys know that work. So you can certainly see some similarities between that. This was before his days of just brilliant, absolutely brilliant color. And we see kind of a darker insight into that. And so here I gathered some of his most iconic works throughout the years. And so starting off in 1885, in some of those darker times of his life, we have the Potato Eaters. And then next in 1886 was the piece we just showcased here. Of course, that was the skull smoking a cigarette there. And I believe in the same exact year we had this work as well. I wanted to show it because it shows a bit more vibrant color. Of course, he's working some of the most natural scenes, not as gritty, not as dark. And then we have a pretty famous kind of portraiture, self-portraiture here. We see that brilliant use of color, also pointillism as well. We certainly see that for sure. I believe this was 1887, if I'm correct. And then, of course, right after this work and, of course, his hospitalization in Antwerp, he went to Paris. So he's created a new chapter in his life, and we certainly see that going onward. So this, I believe, was 1888. 1889, if I'm not mistaken. So going back, we have 1885, 86, 86, 87, 88, and then Starry Night in, I believe, 89. So you certainly see the evolution of his, whether it's color theory, whether it's style, or say a much more vibrant depiction. We certainly see that for sure. And so this is certainly the hallmark of an early pioneer. Like we said, going against the professors to create a new avant-garde, or whether it's working during hours of leisure to continue studying on that craft. Of course, Van Gogh was always building his career. He was a very troubled man, but of course, I mean, late 1800s, you can't blame him. There's a lot going on, and it's definitely not an easy life. But yeah, just an absolutely historic piece. Of course, Van Gogh is known as one of the original four who founded the post-impressionist art movement. So certainly a very famous, very recognizable name. And this piece has been making the rounds. I see it becoming a lot more popular, so I wanted to write about it because I didn't know this was a Van Gogh until I look a bit deeper, so that was really interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. We talked a little bit about the portraiture format. We talked about the life of Vincent van Gogh, kind of those early darker days. And then we also ended it off talking about, say, knowledge of anatomy, as well as the ability to turn against the professors to create the next pioneering artistic avant-garde. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.